Start off with Northwood White.
Yeah, of course, Dr. Watson losers, Squid Bro, Fringe, and Nuff coming at you. They are, again, they have been playing pretty well over the past few weeks. They're in 2-1 record at the moment. The only loss they got was versus Kettering Gold. That was an 0-3. So that was a pretty devastating one. But other than that, they really only lost one map versus Indiana Tech White. So this is definitely a roster that is coming up versus their opponents with some confidence in them, as they did get a 3-0 last week.
Yeah, and speaking of our opponents for Northwood White, URG Red, University of Rio Grande, they had their roster pulled up, a mirrored score line, so to speak, for them in how they've been doing.
Yeah, with a 1-2, you know, they won against SVSU Esports Blue, but then both versus Indiana Tech White and Kettering Gold, they did take a loss. It was a very close one versus Kettering Gold, a 2-3. So they did a little bit better than the Northwood was able to pull off. So there is definitely that argument of saying that just based on that matchup that we're going to get a little bit of an edge towards Rio Grande. However, because they're records versus Indiana Tech White, there is just that little bit of, well, they lost 1-3, Northwood won the 3-1. Who is going to come out on top of this one? It's really hard to say, and the only way to really know is, of course, by actually going into the games.
Indeed so, and if we are going to go into the game, ManofClass, that means we have to go onto a map. So starting us off for this evening is going to be the map choice here of Northwood. We're going to Ilios.
Yeah, Ilios, beautiful Greece, based in Santorini, as we have been knowing to be the case since like 2016. It's been ages since that map has been out, but it hasn't changed much, and it doesn't need to. It's a great map, especially Ruins, the point we're going to be starting on. It's going to be Widowmaker's Playground, but when we talk about the rest of the maps that are going to be coming up, of course, since the addition of Flashpoint, that has been our third map in the pool. Before that, we go to Hybrid after this control map, and if we have some time over, we can still go to Push and Escort and even Control if you manage to get a draw somewhere, and it's a very close call. But for now, it is going to be Ilios Ruins.
And so many juicy opportunities being able to take a peek into the future. But as the timer runs out, we get an idea of what the compositions are going to be looking like. Northwood White, a little bit hovering over at least some interesting choices for the moment against the University of Rio.
It is indeed that matchup that we've been waiting for the last 12 minutes. No, it's been great. Honestly, seeing these teams coming to lobby, like they're joshing a little bit, having some fun with each other. And I mean, why wouldn't you? It's a great night to play some Overwatch. And these seem to be opponents that are maybe not just familiar with each other, but also like each other to a degree. Now, we are going to start out with two very different ideas of how this map is going to be played. It's going to be very rushy, very divey from Northwood White, and then there's just going to be a lot of firepower in CC on URG Red.
Yeah, let's see if that firepower is going to play out for URG Red. Already on the point first before looking up towards the high ground. A Genji right in front of their face, but pushed back by a quick Doom Fist. The wall comes up to prevent them from walking on, but of course with the diving nature, you can just quite simply jump over it. Now we're going to see this May, the new and improved May, of course. The Squid Bro has nowhere to go but through their own death. And now with Northwood White losing out on their tank, it just becomes easy cleanup for Lethal Vapor.
They really got to find a target to jump on the side of Northwood White, because URG Red is otherwise just going to sit there and will destroy them with poke and just overwhelming damage. There's going to be a little bit of a stagger on the Genji, if I'm not mistaken. No, actually gets away somehow. Very slippery Genji. It happens to you all the time in your own games, of course.
Yeah, my Genji would be dead right there, and we'd be staggered out, still waiting for them to come back, but good for Northwood to not lose out on their Genji. We still see URG Red holding on to that point, now 30% on the board. That puppy, we're going to see Squid Bro making that adaptation, getting off of the Doomfist. It was nice to see the old Doomfist come out, but Sigma has been doing a phenomenal job. A big tank in the current meta as of this moment. Dr. Watson trying to get in the backline once more, being frozen out. Support's going to come bail them, but same can't be said for Squid Bro trying to keep the Genji alive. You lose out on your tank. Northwood White going to be repelled once more.
They definitely are. It's a good adaptation to go to the Sigma. A lot more damage mitigation, which you definitely need against that Bastion and that Mei to a degree as well. But it's a tricky situation because they just cannot put their own damage down fast enough. They are charging up their ultimates though. That's like the sort of the thing about Northwood White's composition. They do so many like 1,000 cuts that they always get enough ult charge, even though they haven't really fought so far. So they're even with URG Red, and it's Christmas time because the lights are on.
The good news is, Lethal Vapor has been taken out of the turret form. Up goes the Critic Flux, but Red Pan to keep the team alive with their sound barrier. And we're seeing Fringe Valkyrieing around, outputting the healing that they can, but the wall is going to slow things down for them just for a moment. Mad Puppy caught out, getting dangerously low on their health, but is going to survive. Lethal Vapor, on the other hand, might be the opening here that Northwood White is going to be looking for. Both of the DPS gone. University of Rio Grande, as Dr. Watson has drawn the blade. It's time to start slicing, time to start dicing, and it's time to start looking towards grabbing the point here in overtime for Northwood White.
99% before it eventually flips. Both teams do hold on to an ultimate, but it's just that one. Actually, it's two for Northwood White's even better. But yeah, they finally found the opening to initiate. Did have to passively react to what Rio Grande was doing, but they managed to pull it off. That's all that matters for now. They get the value.
Exactly, they get to hold on for another moment. Here we have the first ultimate being popped from Lethal Vapor. But still, even throughout all of that, URG Red is not going to find any purchase. It's going to be thrown right back into their face. Loser, especially on this Ashe. 2 kills in the pocket for them. And that is Northwood White finally coming online.
Northwood White, they took a little bit to start up, but now they're able to set up and sort of prepare these dive ambushes almost. So because they don't have to walk into a giant wall of fire coming out from the Bastion and now from the Symmetra as well, they can just set up on these high grounds, do some dashes from the side. They don't have to use these movement abilities to initiate. They can use them to get out, they can use them to actually do damage.
All right, another opportunity here for them to push in. Turret form for Lethal Vapor starting to run low. Trying to pop through the shield, but that's gone. Loser backing away with the rest of the team. Squidbro a little isolated, but able to come back real quick. They have it. The Critic Flux. Mad Puppy just took a world of damage. And the world has now fallen beneath their feet. The Kitsune Rush. Just that little bit of an extra factor for the Northwood White team as they continue to cleave through University of Rio Grande Red.
They are able to somehow still hold on to this objective and still have the Bob left. The Bob has not been used this entire round, even though we've been going for a solid almost 4 minutes. And that's surprising. Normally, you would think they're a little more liberal with that ult usage, but Loser is 100% ready to throw it out right now, I'm sure.
All right, this is the final fight. ManofClass. One of these scenes, whoever goes down is going to be able to take it. Dr. Watson taking Simple Goose's life. And the blade has been used. The bomb is out. Every ultimate from Northwood White to make sure that they secure this first round here on Ilios, and done so in a spectacular fashion. ManofClass 0 to 100 was the mission, the objective, and they did it.
They sure did, and it was a very good effort, and it feels like Rio Grande overcommitted a little bit in the fight that they ended up losing. So they went very aggressive, almost pushed Northwood White back into spawn, and then they used their sound barrier as a reaction to the Gravitic Flux. I'm sure Northwood White was ready to just, wait that sound barrier out, and they did. They managed to just wait everything out, kite away from everything. That kept being the name of the game. Just keep kiting as far as you can, even in that very last fight where they almost were back in their own spawn, even though they had point control, just so they can keep poking and prodding away, keep wasting the abilities of Rio Grande to get close to them, and then just clap back in a very efficient fashion.
Oh my word, Northwood. What are you doing, Squidbro, on a Roadhog? Of course, we're here on Ilios. We're at Well, the namesake. That Well with a Roadhog, we know what's going to be happening here. The hook goes forward, though no one caught on the other end of that line. Still more opportunities for that to be given. Northwood White abandoning the idea of going in that direction. The turret form has been taken away, and so now a lot more pressure can be applied. Squidbro trying to set themselves up. You can see they want to go for it. The hook not quite landing again. Northwood White out of here. Mad Puppy definitely mad after what happened on the last round. URG Red going to take this first capture of the point. Squidbro falls.
It's not surprising that they got the first cap. You really want to get to the point sort of on time to make use of that Roadhog hook, but they couldn't because they didn't have a Lucio. Rio Grande just managed to get there first. That's the power of the Lucio in competitive Overwatch. abusing it to its fullest, of course. Now Northwood has got to go back to the drawing board because this Roadhog will not really get that much value until you can get next to that well.
Exactly, and they're just not letting them. You see that Squid Bros trying to push into it over and over, but multiple times now they've been denied that presence. Out goes the hook, but the other issue is that Squid Bros not landing any of these hooks. Doesn't even matter if it's just the well going for it. They haven't been able to successfully find it there. URG Red has a bank of ultimates that they can use. Fringe is going to go ahead, bring Squid Bro back up. They're wasting so much time in trying to get this taken care of, but already forced away. Squid Bro multiple times now, it's just been pushed away. In goes the Rampage. No more healing for this Roadhog, and now it's just tearing them apart.
I mean, I have faith in Northwood White. They did a 99-0 comeback last time around, but they gotta find an opening, and these openings just aren't there. The only one that can really step around the corner and stay alive is Squid Bro, and even they got burst super fast by Lethal Vapor or Simple Goose, or even just Mad Puppy to a degree. It's kind of a crazy situation. They are going to try this flank maneuver again, which now there's a little more space to work with, but they are going to probably get spotted out quite easily with this wall.
And a Kitsune Rush could get them in. Maybe something could be found on the other side of this overclock. You do grab Lethal Vapor, but Lethal Vapor already did the work inside of their own ultimate. However, the damage, the numbers are going in favor of Northwood White. The only ones remaining here, the DPS and the support. Theory, Simple Goose needs to try and get out of there. Simple Goose by themselves. Stagger might be incoming.
There's a really quick wrap around, especially from the Sojourn and Dr. Watson. Able to get around, get the Bastion sort of out of the game their own, and now they're in position. Now the well's taking value. It is dropping time.
It is dropping time, and Loser's aim is locked in. Tracking Red Pan down and putting them into the ground to go along with it. Northwood White now sitting at 25-ish% to URG Red's 96.
We might just get a repeat of the last round if this keeps going, because Squid Bro just wants to keep on hooking. That being said, Red Pan is skating around. They could potentially boop him into the well and just turn the tables right on him.
Hopefully we might be able to see something like that, but the whole hog is going to push them inside of the gazebo for right now. Anyways, oh my word, Loser saw the opportunity right there, and sometimes it's just as simple as a head click and all of the juicy low targets right in front of them. If they can land it, the dynamite goes off. Theory used the protection Suzu, but it's just not enough healing to keep Squid Bro alive. Red Pan expending out the sound barrier, but guess who comes in? Fringe is more than happy to get the revive off, sacrificing their own life, but it may be good enough, especially with Bob now on the field. Really, at this point, all that matters is that Northwood stays alive and gets as much percentage, even with this barrier online, the Symmetra ultimate. It still seems to be good enough for URG Red to take advantage of it and throw things back into their favor.
Yeah, that Symmetra Wall really changed everything. Like they did get a large source of healing out of the way in the Mercy early because of the Resurrection, but the Resurrection, didn't really pan out as well. They are trying to get there. Nope.
Oh, that was bully.
Boop o'clock.
ManofClass, yeah, it was boop o'clock. Squid Bro, the desperation. Having to switch over to the Wrecking Ball, but yeah, everything throwing them back and then some. So now we're looking at a tied score line here on Ilios, 1-1. And that felt like University of Rio Grande coming back in a big way, right? Especially after that 99% they were so close to getting the previous round. It's just, Northwood really wanted to make the Roadhog work, and it looked like it was going there for a second, but once you get rid of the Roadhog, once you take away the advantage of the well, URG Red was just so dominant.
Yeah, they really were. I mean, so far it has really seemed like URG Red has this one style that they really want to stick to. Just the Junker Queen Bastion together with Lucio Kiriko. And then Simple Goose is a little bit flexy, but they've been sticking on the Symmetra for a good bit of it. And Northwood White has been trying to do different things. Just, I think, broadly speaking, different things. They are switching over to the Sigma Bastion Sojourn now, so they are a little bit more conforming to what is considered meta in a lot of cases. But, they still have to show they can execute.
It's all about that execution, right? It's all... Meta doesn't mean anything unless, you have Dr. Watson getting blown up by Simple Goose. Mad Puppy seeing that as an opportunity maybe to be able to take out the Kiriko, but the step away from them, it's going to keep it safe, but the Symmetra is coming up big time in more ways than what is Simple Goose is sniping the ManofClass.
It's hard to dodge these projectiles now. Like ever since they upgraded that speed, it's almost like it's worse than a Reinhardt Fire Strike. They actually go pretty quick. So yeah, they are pretty hard to dodge, especially the full charge ones that have like the bigger radius on them. And I want to highlight that URG Red having the Lucio is giving them so much advantage in these early fights.
Yes.
Just because they get to the point with a Symmetra, they set up their bunker. What are you gonna do if you're Northwood? You're not just gonna walk in there because then you just die. That's what happened to Squid Bro.
Exactly. Not only that, but you get the extra maneuverability that comes from the speed boost, and you're seeing it being used here. Simple Goose, though, not going to take advantage of that for right now, but up in the air, you're still going to have to try and push them away. Lethal Vapor dipping low, but that Protection Suzu doing its namesake quite well. Loser now looking towards an opportunity maybe to find something out of this turret form, but Dr. Watson and that railgun shots are always clean as can be. Stuck in a corner, going to try and get rid of Red Pan. And then, of course, the big tank on the field, Mad Puppy. Not really getting any closer here. The Accretion Rock may not have hit Simple Goose, but Squid Bro is going to make sure that Simple Goose is not going to stay alive for much longer. URG Red getting to 63% before losing the point.
They do consistently get a few percent less every time after they win the first fight. It was 99 the first point, then it was 96. Now all of a sudden it's 63. So Northwood is learning, is what we're learning here. They're still, they still are 1-1, so it can go either way, but the ultimates are online, and the URG Red definitely has the advantage in that regard, so let's see how they can use that.
Hopefully they'll be able to use it well. URG Red, those banquet of ultimates, and a Kitsune Rush is going to guide their way in. It's going to guide Lethal Vapor's turret into taking out their mirror matchup, the Doppelganger. And it's just a simple strategy here. ManofClass, press W and kill everyone.
I mean, press W and have 3 players press Q is usually a pretty good strat, especially if you only really get the 1 ultimate out of Northwood White. Maybe 2, like you got a little bit of a critic flux, which just gets countered directly by the sound barrier. And then Dr. Watson was trying to do a little bit of damage, but it just really wasn't going to come out versus all both the wall and, again, the sound barrier, the Kitsune Rush. They swapped over to a Reaper now, though, which is an interesting choice, not gonna lie.
It is an interesting choice, and they're kind of keeping them corralled in this area. That loser found massive value off of the back of that artillery strike. Coming in with a Rampage, a little bit, but kind of stuck in the corner, and now a sort of Kitsune Rush to really make sure that they secure this, get this in their pocket, and indeed so once again we're seeing that overtime flip for Northwood White.
And Reaper and Bastion, probably the two best heroes to just vanilla Kitsune Rush as well. So it's a really smart swap as well from Dr. Watson before going into that fight. Like, that's a communication where it's like, we can just walk in with the Reaper, have your double time shotguns going, and it's impossible to stop you because of all the lifesteal that comes with it.
Reaper's, I do love me a good Reaper, and seeing Dr. Watson playing it, I'm also going to be keeping an eye on that Death Blossom, right? We do love those quite a lot. It's going to be a loser, however, getting that first pick onto Red Pan. You've taken away URG Red's massive amount of speed that goes along with it. And even still, the numbers are going in advantage for Northwood White. Mad Puppy just up on the high ground, leaving the rest of the team to die. Kind of just like, okay, good luck, everyone else.
Yeah, they're going to jump off. The idea was to get onto the roof with like the entire team, but only really Mad Puppy was able to get through before the teleporter got destroyed. So they probably are going to try that in a little bit of a different way this time around. If they are going through a wide angle.
It's a do or die moment here for University of Rio Grande.
There you go, that's better.
Exactly, put them up on that high ground, bring them into there. But Simple Goose just cannot survive long enough, get anything out of it, and especially more disastrously so, the artillery strike. In combination, you got the Gravitic Flux, loser just going, having the time of their life, and bringing Northwood White into map 1, taking it into their favor. Ilios.
It was a cool maneuver that Rio Grande wanted to do. Unfortunately, they didn't really get to like sort of a aligned vision of how they wanted to do it, right? So they get to the roof, and then you have Simple Goose dropping down sort of on their own while the Bash is doing an ultimate, and it kind of discombobulates really quickly. It's King's Row, at least we know when the teams are ready to go. And what we've seen them run so far, I mean, URG Red's not really going to do anything that surprises us that much, I don't think. They're very much set on this sort of Bastion-centric damage strat. They are likely going to run a Mei as a second DPS because it just makes sense on the King's Row. But what Northwood White's going to pull out, I mean, we can only guess at this stage. I do like seeing Mei versus Mei play on King's Row. I think that is a very good place for that to take place. But yeah, we'll see. Northwood White might have different ideas.
These collegiate teams, right? ManofClass always love surprising us in all of the most spectacular ways possible. And so we might be in for that surprise right now. We did get a taste out of both of these teams, what they like to play. Already Northwood White looking kind of similar, some small changes. G Red though, at least what they're hovering at the moment, kind of interested in this Mad Puppy tank.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna talk about an attack and comp 30 seconds before they walk out of spawn.
Exactly.
I am not going insane today, but it's gonna be Dr. Watson on a Widowmaker to start off with, and that is an interesting choice for the defense, especially since a lot of the time Widowmaker these days is mostly picked on the attack for like the quick early shot, and then players kind of switch off. But as a defensive hold, unless you hit at least 2 or 3 headshots every fight, it's very hard to justify this Widowmaker pick. Because if the other team knows you're not going to hit those shots, they don't really have to be that scared of you either way. They can sort of do whatever they want. But it's going to be at least a Mei on the side of URG Red and the Soldier this time for Lethal Vapor. Mad Puppy is on the Diva, so they didn't change all that much.
No, they didn't. All right, this is going to be fun. You put up the wall, try to deny the pressure, of course, from the Dr. Watson Widowmaker, who set themselves back up on this high ground. One tick going over, and Dr. Watson already putting this Widowmaker to very good use. Going to be flushed out, but we've already lost 2 members of the team. Mad Puppy, to get out of there, go ahead and take the L.
Yeah, they're going to lose the mech, might even get staggered further. There was some progress on the point made, though. They did get a tick and a half. I mean, that half is going to tick away, but they got a tick for free, essentially. They didn't really have to work all that hard for it. That's surprising. I mean, it kind of goes with the strat of Northwood White. They are just sitting on the high ground, so just poking down from there. So they don't really have to touch until, you know, the point is almost fully capped. But at least they got, you know, they stopped it after 1 tick got taken.
And off the back of that Dr. Watson pick, he finally forced Mad Puppy's hand, seeing how much they could get away with before the team comes down on the ground. But you do need to, of course, respect the Widowmaker when it's there. Already back in the window once more, but there we have it. Simple Goose is going to win out in the Sniper v Sniper duel on a Mei, of all things. And now Lethal Vapor has set themselves up in the best possible position as they just fire down the hallway, pick up a kill onto Fringe, continue to hold onto this high ground. Northwood White slowly but surely dwindling out in the numbers game. Point A, the University of Rio Grande Red.
Yeah, so like as well as Dr. Watson did, right? A lot of the time teams would then prefer to go for something like an Ashe. You already have the damage boost from Fringe, so you can sort of rely on that for extra like one-shot potential. But the Dynamite makes such a big difference in teams approaching and just being softened up for a target like a Bastion, even for a Mei to a degree. But also just for your tank. So let's see if Northwood White is going to keep this Widow going. It looks like it so far, but so much pressure rating putting on them by Mad Puppy.
Yeah, I'm surprised at Dr. Watson how stern they're wanting to stay on this Widowmaker. They're still wanting to try to get the cool jump shots, right? You want to get the Twitch clips out on the field, but you have a Diva Bomb flying right into your face! Oh my word! That's one way to do it! They may have given up their lives in making it happen, but you got 3 for 1 ultimate and then Simple Goose just to get the rest of them. University of Rio Grande Red now looking towards that point B with stars in their eyes.
Yeah, and it's interesting as well because now we're going to end in a situation where URG Red for the first time does not have a Lucio. So this Gravitic Flux is almost always going to find some purchase unless you get this really, really strong Suzu coming out from Red Pan. It's a tricky timing, you can time it. So yeah, we are going to be looking at more Sigma value, which almost worked in the last time, but they switched over to Ramatra, so it doesn't even matter anymore.
Oh yeah, that Ramatra, beautiful Blizzard. Catching 2 inside, but freezing them down into their graves. And now we're going to see point B and ManofClass. What a time bank they have as well. 4 minutes and 40 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, that's the momentum I was talking about, right? Like this third point that's where it's gonna be problematic, because this is often where like teams get slowed. So this is where you lose the 1 fight. The problem is normally you lose that 1 fight because if you lose 2 fights in a row, the enemy team, the defenders will finally have their ultimates, but they only have the nano boost. They've switched around so much that they haven't built up any war chests, and they are still under so much pressure. They do lose Simple Goose for URG.
But now we're going to see if this Nanovisor is going to be able to pick up anything. Squid Bro having to burst through their Nemesis form is just proven to be a little too difficult. Fantastic anti-nades from Theory, but anti-nades that aren't going to get much out of it without the follow-through to go along with it. Mad Puppy, a mountain of damage that's hitting them, being forced away as Squid Bro muscles into your backline. Theory 03 has been getting rid of Mad Puppy, continuing to find value out of these self-destructs. The value is going to be taken away almost immediately. Northwood White finally able to repulse URG Red away from them.
Yeah, and now Northwood White, after not using any ultimates besides the Valkyrie, now they've got a war chest to work with on the defense. We do see the swap over from Mad Puppy. That's probably why they use the self-destruct they were going to swap anyways. And they're going for the full Mei Bastion combo. It's going to be a fun attack for them from now on, but their momentum has definitely been stopped, so they have to sort of recharge and re-engage. Might take them a fight or two.
Gonna see fight or two. They got 3 minutes to make the magic happen, so possibilities are abound. Do like the Mad Puppy switch over to the Orisa, stand toe to toe against Squid Bro on the Ramantra as an anti-nade is gonna answer back. Now we're gonna have the annihilation pop by Squid Bro, but completely denied. Like you said, a fantastic wall from Simple Goose has taken away the Ramantra and Lethal Vapor. Again, a tour de force to be reckoned with. Theory so close to death. It's finally found them, but what is Dr. Watson doing? Potentially single-handedly putting on the backpack and saving Northwood White at the very last moment. As URG Red was right there, but this Sojourn had to do it. And they did it.
Nano-boosted overclock, just coming in so clutch over there. But it was such a good setup. You anti-nade the Ramatra, you wall him off, delete him as they use Annihilation, and then all of a sudden you have a free walk forwards, but then the Nano-boosted Sojourn comes out and just completely deletes them with the overclock.
It's scary, right? It's scary what can be accomplished with a Sojourn who can land those railgun shots, especially inside of that overclock. Continuing to put the pressure on the support lineup. The Nano Boost is going to be expended, but again, Lethal Vapor is just not able to find anything. We do have that Nano Boosted Orisa of Mad Puppy finding a pick out of that Terror Surge, but needing to rotate back around to try and save their team. But in doing so, sacrificing their own life and only buying a couple of seconds for whomever to get out, but at this point, it's not looking like it.
That move would have worked if the cart was a little further forward, because they basically almost would have like C9'd them with the Terra Surge, if that makes sense. That probably wasn't the actual idea, because like I said, the cart was too far away, but it did work out. I mean, they got the elimination of the fringe, they just couldn't follow up and keep the rest of their team safe in the meantime. And the big problem that URG is having is that they don't really have anything to contest the high ground with, so there's a lot of safety, specifically for Mercy to just sit up there, Kiriko as well.
And again, we're kind of missing out on having that Lucio, right? So many opportunities for Lucio to speed boost you in, but not only that, keep you alive, right?
Sound barrier as well.
Sound barrier is just such a massive tool. Oh, that was a little scary here for Red Pan, but now we're going to see how the Foxes are going to help out URG Red. And whether or not that's going to be good enough for them to finally punch through. Theory with these sleeps have been unreal, but not quite good enough to take out Squid Bro. Loser is going to prove to us that gravity is still a factor to contend with. Simple Goose trying to freeze out Northwood White. This annihilation in combination with the overclock. Dr. Watson managed to do it last time around. Not getting too much for this moment, but at the very least, you have Squid Bro quite literally annihilating URG Red.
It's one of those moments where Northwood is just able to split this fight up, and Squid Bro is kind of taking half the fight by themselves by just saying, I'm having Annihilation, I'm Ramatra, they're not going to get through me. If they try, they're going to perish. And then the rest of the team just has to worry about like a couple of members from URG Red. Now, with a couple of ultimates in their bank, actually more than a couple, URG Red could be in a position to take this away.
Yeah, they're going to try and give Simple Goose, who needed to go and touch the cart, pop them off with the Nano Boost as well. Squid Bro was so low on the health, but the two ultimates, the artillery strikes, are going to answer in kind. Fringe being alive, however, looked like they were almost able to get the revive off, but no, it was canceled, booped away. Guess what? You brought out the Lucio, and see what happens. I say that, but then they die. Still unfortunate, but Northwood White looking like they're going to be able to hold off. What are these? Mad Puppy is built
That's the
different.
support's gone. This might not be
with
over.
These self-destructs, like you said, catching out both of the supports, but the Diva has been demeched. Mad Puppy's taken out. We see the Squid Bro, Doomfist once more, finding massive value. And even with that self-destruct, ManofClass, URG Red couldn't quite go the entire distance. 4 minutes and 40 seconds at Northwood White held.
And there were so many lost opportunities. And if it weren't for that huge clutch from Dr. Watson, they would probably have completed the map with like 2 minutes on the clock. Like they were kind of there already, but somehow way too many of them got just taken out by one Sojourn. And I get it. They were damage boosted. They had a lot of value come out of them. They did a lot of damage. They had overclock. Like they had a lot of things going for them. But it's still a team of like 5 members that should have been able to deal with that in a fairly convincing fashion. Sometimes carts in the way. Sometimes things just don't work out. Unfortunately, URG Red is going to have to live with that one. And now they're going to go into their defense. Hopefully they can stop Northwood White before they reach the golden box of victory, and therefore claim the map regardless.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a pretty sizable distance that Northwood White needs to cover,
Sure.
right? Basically the entire way almost.
Yeah.
That's how close URG Red was to capturing this map until Dr. Watson put the brakes on that idea. Now we're seeing the Widowmaker from Dr. Watson again. This is something that we typically see more of from the attacking side, right? You bring out that Widowmaker, you go for those headshots, but I wouldn't be surprised if Dr. Watson decides, all right, let's try and see how long we can make it work.
It's definitely on the attack a lot easier to make it work because, you know, you're less predictable as where you're going to pop out from. Unless for maybe the stop window, that's always like the standard one. They are on the side platform though. They're not actually in the spawn window anymore.
And he's gonna try and set themselves up, looking for a headshot. Lethal Vapor, making sure to get them out of there. Make sure to protect your heads, though. Ooh, again, Simple Goose. Able to stand toe-to-toe against a Widowmaker on a May. Never easy, but if anyone can do it, it is Simple Goose. Quite simply put. Forcing out the ice block, though, pushing themselves away, hit by the dynamite. Taking that little bit of extra damage from Loser. As we see the defense matrix come up to secure their exit vector. Lethal Vapor has no exit. The only exit they're gonna find is right back into the spawn room. That's the opening Northwood White could potentially get, but having to go through the rest of the team. Squid Bro diving right into the back line, thinking maybe they can grab the supports. We heard the sleep dart go off, but it's not going to capture anybody. It's Dr. Watson. Another head clicked right off the shoulders, stepping right on top of their tank. Nuff is going to stay alive. Just got to get rid of the final remaining members. Reinforcements are starting to come in for URG Red, but at this stage, too much hemorrhaging has happened. The reinforcements are dying. They're being lost. Northwood White taking point A.
They are for sure going to be able to do it. It's taking over now. Not a bad attempt at the defense for URG Red. Like there was a lot to like over there, but they do have to be a little bit careful. Fringe definitely has to be a little bit careful. Almost got cut out there. But it's just Squid Bro in their spawn, just having a party. Will finally choose to retreat because the supports have blood in their sights. But it's still just a continuation. Oh, anti-nade. Nope, anti-nade will do it. I was going to say, without the anti-nade, he might have had a shot. Squid Bro wasn't in the spot.
Okay, all right.
Nano Baptiste.
Yeah, we have a nanoing theory. The Baptiste, like you said. I guess let's just kind of try to scare them away. But, I mean, Northwood has gotten past the nuisance that's been that archway.
Dr. Watson gets the headshot again.
Yeah, just getting a couple little dinks here and there. Nothing too crazy about that, right? And Mad Puppy's just going to stay on top of the cart. But at this point, really stayed your welcome for way too long. Gets demeched, gets taken out. Loser gets the double kill. And they have it. Northwood White sweeping the floor up with URG Red and going to keep pushing forward.
You'll love to see it. URG Red kind of in shambles ever since the defense started. Simple Goose, Mad Puppy, they have their ultimates going, or just about at least. But Northwood White is working with 4 in the bank. It's kind of crazy.
They're just having the time of their life. They may not even need to. Squid Bro is just soloing up against the entire team. URG, okay. Lethal Vapor. They've had enough. It's done with this Widowmaker, but Fringe isn't quite done having their Widowmaker on the field. Again, there it is. The self-destruct comes out, but in a rare form for Mad Puppy. No one to die on the other side of it. Still alive. Northwood White has 3 ultimates that they can use to take over this point. They want to hold on to it for as long as they can. Try and win this fight as dry as they can and look towards getting to the Golden Gates of victory.
It's such a precision team as well from Northwood. You talk about the Doomfist, the Ashe, the Widowmaker, even the Kiriko to a degree. Like all their damage is very focused on one target, very so like precise in the way they have to execute it, but they're hitting so many shots. Like mechanically, they're just outplaying URG Red at the moment, and it's really cool to see, because this is what happens when a team chooses sort of abilities over mechanics in a way, and they cannot get close enough to make the abilities work. So URG Red now is in a position where they're going to have to find a way to make the Captive Sun and the Blizzard find value before they get one shot like this.
All right, Dr. Watson's online, and they're just having a good time. They're having a great time. The Captive Sun has been unleashed into the world, but no one will fall. Fringe keeping the team alive through a Valkyrie, the guardian angel that they are, and indeed so, even bringing up their fallen comrade. Dr. Watson may have gone down. Really, at this stage, we're seeing a Blizzard being expended. I would say at that point, kind of a desperation one it felt like, ManofClass.
Yeah, I mean, they're slowing things down. They're getting like a pick-off here and there, so it's not the full roster of Northwood White that's still pushing, and that means there is a good chance of coming back. Like, they did some damage. Their spawns are close. They can kind of keep trickling if they want to.
We do have the secret 6th team member, though, that Loser can put out on the field if Bob needs to be used. But up in the air, Squid Bro goes, and right over the wall, indeed, it happens again as Squid Bro gets a double kill.
Lord.
Both of the supports go out of here. The Primal Rage in the back line. Bob has been used. He's still going to wreak havoc. Actually, never mind. It's not wreaking havoc. It's just kind of standing there. Simple Goose comes out of the ice block right at the last moment. Squid Bro is just going to slam them down with that Meteor Strike. Now it's the rematch of the century. Winston versus the Doomfist, but it looks like Mad Puppy is going to be under a mountain more of damage. Now giving the Kitsune a rush. So much damage, so much to be given to Northwood White. Mad Puppy doing a phenomenal job, though, by the way, of keeping this going, of staying alive. But Dr. Watson, a quick, clean kill-off, just using the unscoped primary fire. Back on the field, a Transcendence to try and gather as much time. 1.39 meters from Red Pan. So you see Squid Bro wanting to throw them out there. But as this Zenyatta falls, and a clean headshot again from Dr. Watson. Just get rid of the tank. You just get rid of Theory, and that might also be Simple Goose coming back in, but there you have it. Northwood White continuing their lead, now putting themselves onto series point here on Kings Row.
And if this keeps going, it is definitely going to look like just an out mechanic situation, because Dr. Watson alone is enough to say, well, the hit scan value is just being reached. And they tried, right? They put out the Genji, the Winston, a couple of other things to just be like, well, we're going to try and get on top of these sort of backline heroes. We're going to actually try and dive into them. But then their own backline got demolished quicker because of the whole Doomfist punch. That is also a very bursty, sort of instant kill potential hero. And that's the entirety of Northwood relying on those mechanics, like those really quick, high burst situations, and as long as you hit those shots, Widowmaker is pretty much the best hero in the game. If you hit every single headshot, Widowmaker is probably the highest. And it sounds stupid, right? Because you never hit every shot, but if you hit enough of them, in this case, Dr. Watson definitely did, then Widowmaker is a very, very strong hero, and Squid Bro being a distraction in the backline just gave her so much more space.
Yeah, I mean, we're also kind of seeing it here right now on the replay. Dr. Watson nailing some insane shots. There's one right there. They did another one on a Zenyatta. Right back over on just one of Suravasa. They need to figure it out now. Otherwise, it's going to be a Northwood White victory.
Yeah, Northwood White, they have, again, there's so much flexibility, right? Like, we've seen them on so many different heroes so far already. I think, like, the least flexible so far has been Nuff, because I think they've only been on the Kiriko. But yeah, other than that, everyone has shown at least 2 or 3 different heroes. I think Fringe has mostly been on the Mercy as well, actually. But I don't think they're gonna go for the same thing here. Like, a lot of what happens on Flashpoint has to do with mobility, speed, being able to rotate. So the Lucio is almost a must pick, but it really depends on what your team thinks is gonna happen on this map, right? Like, if you're constantly able to walk to the point and just sit there, you don't really need Lucio. But if you're planning on rotating a lot and being very mobile and just covering a large part of the map for just throughout the entire game mode, then yeah, you might come in with that. But a lot of what we see here on Flashpoint is the ability to use flanks for heroes, but not always actually flanking. And with what the teams are currently showing, they're not going to be doing that much flanking. Maybe Lethal Viper a little bit on the Soldier, but that's kind of it.
Okay. I'm liking. Hey, listen, if neither team uses a Lucio, right, then there's no Lucio to worry about. You're all going in at the same time.
Yeah.
So
I think URG might also have sort of realized that Fringe damage boosting the DPS on Northwood might have been a big part of why the victory came through. We haven't really addressed it that much, but if you get a constant damage boost on one or both of your DPS, that is such a big difference in terms of the overall damage that team outputs. So URG Red now wants to enter that in kind.
Yeah, I mean,
they think that's the problem.
Yeah, they did it too, right? You go into Dr. Watson with that Widowmaker, but you do have that Symmetra giving Northwood White early access to the point, putting them back over there. Fringe, so low, gonna be able to pick that up from Simple Goose, traded out by Lethal Vapor, but lost out on the Mercy. You're gonna push back, you're gonna go on to nothing. Well, enough being said about that here from Mad Puppy. This is what we're talking about though, right? The early aggression that's coming out from URG Red. Northwood White, they kind of falter to it a little bit. Squidbro's still alive, but guess who else is too? Simple Goose.
Simple Goose versus Squidbro. The Ramatra is so low. Just Wraith form into it and punch him. No, you don't need to. Lethal Vapor came back in time. That was fun though. Like, both these teams kind of went back and forth to each other, right? Like I saw Lethal Vapor go down. I was like, okay, yeah, but they have a Mercy because they can rest. Fringe died, so they can have an easy numbers advantage. But then the Mercy and Red Band also died. They're going to continue, though, and because of the early presence of most of Northwood White, they just get the point again by just standing in the way.
But it seems like the idea for URG Red, give up a little to gain a lot more. You do get rid of Theory. Unfortunately, losing Simple Goose on the flip side from that. Fringe not able to get that revive off. And Mad Puppy had red in their eyes, wanted to take out the support, but like you said, that Suzu just proved to be a little too deadly. It's Dr. Watson's barrier kept them alive, and URG Red losing the point.
And I think when you look at like the micro usage of ability here, URG Red has a little bit of a problem of not either baiting out cooldowns or not realizing that they are yet to have like baiting them out, or when a cooldown happens, what their reaction needs to be. Because at that point, when Red Puppy sees the Suzu come out and the Mercy gets saved, you know you're not going to be able to punch her for a certain amount of time. You know she's going to get healed back up. So you're essentially starting from zero again. And by that point, you're too far into the enemy team, so you need to back off.
Still, though, going to try and push forward here. URG Red electing to annihilate with the Kitsune Rush combo. Mad Puppy, that's what we want to see. That's what we need to see out of URG Red. It's continuing push. Get Squidbro out of there. Take over the point. It's an overtime flip here for URG Red. 2 ultimates used. Not too bad because they have 3 more coming online.
They are going to be able to hold. They should be able to hold on for a little bit. I mean, they're going to have some ultimates against them, specifically the same combo they just used, the Kitsune Rush plus the Annihilation, as well as the Bobs. There could be a lot of multi-frontal attack, especially if you take the teleporter into account.
Bob and TP. Oh my gosh, Simple Goose, how did you get out of there now? It's looking like the return to form here for Squidbro, but no, they're going to be returning into the spawn room. That Kitsune Rush is not going to help them out very much. URG Red now. Death has blossomed in front of them from Simple Goose. URG Red really making sure, though, that they get this point.
I'm not sure if that Bob was necessary or the Tech Visor from Lethal Vapor for that matter, but they might go for a swap, might go for something else. Could see the Bastion again. Nope. Not looking like it. It's gonna be Gardens. Okay, yeah, I was listening for the voice line. So it's a cool one, but there's indeed the icon as well. Of course, URG Red now 1-0 up. You need to get 3 points on Flashpoint for anyone who's not familiar with the mode just yet. It's essentially it's as if you're playing Control, but it's a first to 3 again, and all the control points are on the same map. You don't switch maps anymore.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think Flashpoint is a really great game mode in Overwatch, and it just works out really well. Squidbro also worked out really well.
Oh, no.
Now sees Annihilation in their eyes. Gonna push forward. Boop. Down goes Theory thanks to the Coach Gun. Squid Puppy, Mad Puppy may be able to pick up a kill onto Loser, but now they see Squidbro. I combined the 2 tanks there.
Yeah, I mean, a squid puppy would be a pretty interesting animal, I guess.
That's like a Cthulhu. That's a Cthulhu
I mean,
nightmare.
sort of. Okay, but would it have squid tentacles, or would it have like a dog body and then sort of like a squid head? Like, what are we looking at? You know, like what is a squid puppy?
Dog body, squid head. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, that makes sense. And you know, I would say I would like to see art of this. If someone is an artist in the chat, just draw it up, throw it on Twitter. I would love to see it. Let's go. On X, sorry, it's X now. However, Mad Puppy, a lot of bark, not that much bite so far, but maybe the annihilation that's gonna change.
It could potentially. Oh, and they're biting hard. No, actually, it's gonna be Simple Goose who's pecking at the competition. Gooses are quite scary, and sometimes even just the simple ones. Indeed, URG Red taking the point off of Northwood White, who got to 70%.
Hey, geese are great guard animals. They are. It's just, you know, even from even Roman times, they were used to sound the alarm when the old enemies would come into the city or into the farmhouses or whatever they were coming. Geese were on the forefront of the alarm systems.
We're getting the zoology lesson of this NECC matchup here. I like it. I'm all here for it, though. I think it's pretty cool. And also we're going to see if it's going to be pretty cool if Northwood White is able to take the point back from URG Red. Giving up a little bit of space, leaning back towards the stairway here in Gardens. Neither team really able to get their fine purchase on that until the Helix rockets come forward from Lethal Vapor. Very lethal indeed. Loser falls down to it. Red Pan coming back around. Now we have the Dr. Watson overclock, and already it's deadly as ever. Squid Bro using that annihilation, and once again, it's really just making sure they secure this point.
Yeah, it's probably not going to be able to touch as well inside of URG Red. I mean, this percentage ticks up so quickly. Again, if you're used to the percentage on control points, it's about like 3 times as fast. It's a lot faster than the percentage over there. So it's 30% just melts away. They are barely able to touch, though, with the Reaper and the Mercy as well. And they get the opening of Dr. Watson with Attack Visor.
That Attack Visor is putting in the work, but now so is Bob, the Robot Butler, filled with fury in their hearts. Northwood White, not done, not out of this just yet. Overtime is out, and now we are looking at a tied Flashpoint match 1-1 as we head to Palace.
Lethal Vapor got a little overzealous there. Didn't have to get that close to get the elimination onto Squid Bro and got punished for it. Now we're going to go to the next point, though, and they are meeting each other on the way there. A 1-for-1 trade, but losing your Mercy is a problem because Red Pen could just res Lethal Vapor back up. It's a 4v5 to start this point off.
Makes it super simple, right? A worthy trade. At the very least, you can look forward to Red Pan not having that revive upcoming in this next team fight. Northwood White is going to be there as you wait for the eventual return of your Mercy. Set up on the high ground, Simple Goose. You know, it's a Rebirth when they have that Death Blossom. What they really want to do, they want to try and be sneaky. They want to set themselves up to get those opportunities to actually use it.
I do like how URG Red was a lot more cautious this time around. Like, they got the elimination, but they didn't just rush forward. And now they're very controlled, just get the point because the space is given. Simple Goose looking for that angle for the Death Blossom, and indeed is going to choose the better of it. Not going just yet.
And we're seeing the URG Red, like you said, they're so disciplined, it feels like right now. Squid Bro muscling in, on theory. Again, the revive comes off from Red Pan, but Lethal Vapor is going to lose their life in the meantime. Simple Goose does have this Death Blossom that can be used, but they're seeing an annihilating Ramantra right in front of their faces. That's always very scary. Even scarier is enough landing those kunai headshots onto Simple Goose. The point flips 56% before URG Red loses it.
Definitely an opportunity to come back, though, because, of course, 100-0 still takes a while. But URG Red coming in with a vengeance. They have a plethora of ultimates, as we like to call it. Wonder what they're going to initiate with. Might just be the Annihilation Kitsune Rush again.
Could see that, right? Annihilation Kitsune Rush is very scary, very powerful. URG Red does have that bevy of ultimates, a lot of choices in the toolbox, and already we're just seeing them try to push in. Actually, they're going to initiate with Simple Goose using the Death Blossom. No one to get killed from it, but a heck of a lot of damage on the other side of it. Enough damage that it's softened them up for the Mad Puppy Annihilation to do the rest of the work.
Yeah, I definitely would call it softening up in that sense. Just make colanders out of all of them and then just pump some energy into it. It's great. Great, you know, just Mad Puppy finishing off what Simple Goose started. They'll still have the support ults, plus, of course, Attack Visor left. Looks in a pretty good position to take this point, but there's a bunch of ultimates coming from the other side. It's just how does Northwood initiate on this? They might just use Bob if they can to keep touching the point to start off with.
It's getting closer and closer. URG Red right there. 90% Northwood White. Gonna see if Dr. Watson can do it again with the overclock, or if Bob might be the determining factor in here, forcing out the Valkyrie from Red Pan and now a Kitsune Rush as they intersect with each other. But again, it's Dr. Watson and these overclocks. It is horrifying to see as Lethal Vapor gets the tactical visor off, but Squid Bro, quick clean headshot is gonna put that down into the ground. We're inside of overtime. Northwood White trying to get the better of them, but Mad Puppy alive. We're talking about the bark. We're talking about if they have that bite. And ManofClass is looking like they might just indeed have it here. It's the Ramatra off, like you said. But the Annihilation that Squid Bro, they're done with it. They want to fight it out. The Reapers come in, though. Squid Bro tries to get away. Overtime takes away, and URG Red gets the point.
That was a crazy end fight because it's all about, he gets the cooldown back faster, and who is the health, and then the Reaper comes in, and now they have to run away quickly because, of course, they're going to get chased down to get to this last point. But it's a, I think that, they're going to be able to get away with it. And the thing is, now they're also getting to this point first because they're getting chased by Northwood White. So URG Red is getting all the luck and the wins in this situation. They're not going to complain about it, I'm sure.
It feels like everything is rolling in favor of URG Red, right?
Yeah, but it needs to. They're on match point otherwise, you know?
If there was any time for the luck to be coming in on their side, it is now. Yeah, match point. It's like someone smiling from up above. The Overwatch gods are pleased and want to give URG Red that fighting chance, that fighting opportunity. But URG Red, by the way, taking full advantage of every single one of those being given to them. Simple Goose, a little bit scary for them, but coming out of the other end of it, a better Reaper. Mad Puppy, same can't be said for them. Too much damage as Northwood White presses the aggression button. Loser hitting those shots, gonna take control of this point, but not before URG Red gets to 31%.
31, not a whole lot to write home about, honestly. Like, it's just, you're on the point for about 10 seconds at that stage. That's how fast it goes. But that being said, still a little bit. Gonna have some ultimates to come back into this. Both teams will, but big one, of course, Mad Puppy with the Annihilation. And we're gonna see what Simple Goose can maybe soften him up with Death Blossom again. Could be a good repeat tactic.
Could be. The Annihilation Death Blossom combination worked wonders for them the last time that it was used. It's all just about letting Simple Goose get to that point. Even more so, maybe just not even softening them, maybe just getting the straight elimination kills. So many opportunities here for URG Red, but those opportunities need to be pressed. Northwood White continuing to push themselves up in those percentage. Fringe is going to be found out. Protection Suzu comes in. Mad Puppy may be the one doing the softening up here. Theory giving the Kitsune rush to the team. URG Red pushes forward once more. Squid Bro inside of their Annihilation, but there we have it. All of the ultimates. URG Red, press Q. Now they have the point, but now the scary part about that is ManofClass. I don't have it for the next team fight.
No, they'll have a Attack Visor, and there aren't any damage ultimates on the other side. There's just the Kitsune Rush, which while annoying, is not the most ideal for anyone other than the Ramatra, really, and maybe the Kiriko herself. So we'll see what happens with that. But that was a great fight. Honestly, the support's really the start of the show, keeping Mad Puppy alive through that Annihilation, because they went so low. And that also kept Northwood a little closer, because they were like, we can take out the Ramatra. But that's a good opening. Red Pen out of it.
Always, if you need someone to take on the mantle, it is Dr. Watson. And here it is. A Kitsune Rush once more. You don't have anything in your sights. You had Dr. Watson before the fist punched you right away.
I do not agree with that Attack Visor usage unless they're swapping heroes right now, because they could have had it for the next point. They could have added it for a fight that was winnable, and this just didn't feel like it by the time Lethal Vapor pressed Q. Of course, we are going to the very last flashpoint on this map. It's a 2-2 Suravasa, going to be closed out by either Northwood White taking away the full series victory, or URG Red starting a potential comeback.
It's right there.
Very close to finding out which is going to be.
Exactly. URG Red couldn't have ended in any other way, this matchup between the two. Either in victory or in defeat. The point, though, however, is going to be taken control of by Northwood White. URG Red, neither of these team any ultimates to work with. This is going to be a straight dry fight to get themselves on there. Northwood pushing away from it, conceding the point over to URG Red. A lot of damage that Dr. Watson's going to push themselves forward, get out of there in time as Lethal Vapor picks up the damage that they need to. Red Pan revive to get their fallen comrade back into the team as Northwood White sees this as an opportunity to go ahead and start annihilating everyone who was on here. Squid Bro, the double kill, URG Red, losing at 38%.
Yeah, URG Red at least got, again, they got a couple percent on there, but now they need to find a way to get back to this point to win that fight. And the ultimates are starting to build up for both teams. Like, we're going to get to a proper sort of conclusion of this map. I almost don't know how Simple Goose got away with that. That was crazy.
Simple Goose got so low, they were able to pick up the Mega Pack,
there was
right?
A health pack and a Suzu and then the Kiriko came in. At some point, Squid Bro was like, you know what, let's just go to the objective and actually defend it. Because otherwise we might get flanked of some kind.
We're gonna see if heroes never die. Lethal Vapor unfortunately did. Red Pan able to get the revive and bring the Soldier 76 to take advantage of that Kitsune rush, but we're seeing both of them again as the Simple Goose Death Blossom has bloomed. And death is the name of the game.
It feels like too many ultimates though. They used everything. They're gonna have attack visor like almost, but they're not. Their percentage is not going to tick up quick enough to just be an outright win. Northwood White's going to come back in with 3 ultimates. Yeah, Dr. Watson will be a little late, but not late enough to really be unable to use the overclock. So it could be the mistake that cost URG Red the series.
Potentially, we're gonna find out. Northwood White, 2 big ultimates on their DPS side. We're taking ever so close to URG Red. They can taste the map victory of Surabasa. If they win out on this team fight, they win out here. Bob goes in, Bob falls, but Lethal Vapor tries to get away from the disruptor shot. And there it is. The overclock of the ages. The overclock that needed to do it. And doing it, it is Dr. Watson again. The Sojourn Extraordinaire, cutting off the escape vector from Lethal Vapor. And even more so, the railgun shot put that down into the ground.
Oh, and if they just jumped off the map, they might have respawned quicker. But this could indeed be the end of the series, as we do not see URG Red be close enough to touch this point. The Reaper with a Wraith form and teleport will not be able to make it. And that is Northwood White, indeed, closing out the series with a 3-0 versus the University of Rio Grande. Unfortunate they couldn't get away with even a map victory, but Mad Puppy at least gets to play the game.
We talked about it earlier,
health
though.
Bar. Yeah.
It's scary. That is so scary how low Mad Puppy was, but still able to stay alive and still able to win out in that team fight. It goes to show you, right, what University of Rio Grande has to work with in this regular season and the improvements that can be made. This is still early on. We're only in week 4. A lot of time. Go back over the VODs. Continue to get better. Continue to improve. You stood up to Northwood White and showed a lot of potential here. It's all about bringing that potential to the forefront once more, keeping the sustainability alive, and adapting, I think, a little bit better here for URG Red. Northwood White looking strong, though. Looking very, very strong, especially players like Dr. Watson.
Yeah, and I mean, we're talking about also about a program, just the Northwood program as a whole, that just has a lot of strong rosters across the different esports titles, and even just an Overwatch Collegiate. Their varsity roster just won the entire Collegiate Homecoming tournament. So they are just there's a lot of pedigree there, and I'm sure that even the rosters that aren't the highest level roster are still reaping the benefits of that throughout. And
of course,
see players like Dr. Watson, Squid Pro lose their fringe enough. Just I mean, they're showing off that potential. They're showing off that they are indeed learning, both in flexibility as well as in mechanics and skill and decision making. There's just a lot of show of progress and development coming from that team. Not that URG Red isn't showing any of it. Of course, they are still doing that. But there are a couple of these sort of mistakes and decisions that are being made that are just indicative of maybe a slightly less attentive support staff, maybe.
So I think given enough care,
I would say, sorry, attentive is not the right word. I think that's unfair. I would say maybe stacked with expertise is maybe the word that I'm looking for.
Yeah. But you can look over at Northwood White. They have so much potential. They can go off and talk to the varsity team, right? They can go and talk to them. They can get their experience. They can get their opinions on what they should be doing better, on how they could be doing better. And of course, you talked about it. Northwood is just a fantastic esports program in general, one of the best in the nation across multiple titles, right? Not even just Overwatch. And so for